Good evening, guys, and welcome back to the classroom with Architect Mark. Tonight, we're going to be continuing on our photography series, and we're gonna talk about. I told you last time that we're gonna tackle uh, the three parts of the exposure triangle one by one. But as I was looking through some lens catalogs, because that's one of the areas where you can find true and comparative information between them. It dawned on me that uh, the these essential parts of this essential part of the photography system is something that we need to talk about also, and it will tie in with the uh, aperture part of the triangle. So let's head on over to the classroom and learn about lenses. Okay, we just make sure that's stable, and then let's begin learning about or talking about lenses. So what are these? These are the ones that go in front of the camera and basically uh, capture the image for us. So this is a side view. If it's not so apparent, this is the lens hood. And this is the actual lens itself. Now lenses come in all shapes and sizes. And that is quite literally. Is there really big lenses, really long lenses, and then really short ones and stubby ones? But they all have a purpose. So, what is the category? How are lenses being categorized? Okay. Some lenses are called fast, and then well, other lenses are just standard. But fast lenses are the ones that have very low aperture numbers or low f-stop number is low. So these are fast lenses. That means basically that you can use a shutter speed that is slower because the lens allows for more light to come in. And or yeah, probably the other way around. With fast lenses, you don't need to go into a slow shutter speed because you have a big aperture. That's the better, more proper explanation. And then the next categorization basically is according to the focal length, which focal length, this determines whether or not your lens is part of the ultra wide family, wide, standard, and then telephoto. All right. Just check it. Right. Going to bigger one. Okay, I'll show you guys what I'm checking so that we can see. So there we go. This is the categorization uh, wide. Okay. And then, well, for here, this is already ultra wide, but they just went with wide. And then standard lenses go from 14 to basically 45. That's the standard values. Then telephotos are those that go beyond that. Another categorization is, okay, let's remove ultra wide because no, let's keep it for now. So ultra wide, wide standard, telephoto. Okay, those are focal length. And then what's that focal length? Yeah. These are categorizations of focal lengths. Okay. Next we have types, which are primes and then zoom lenses. Prime lenses are lenses that only have a single focal length, like it can be 50, 35, 28. These are primes. Now, zooms, on the other hand, these lenses have ranges, and usually it has a zoom ring that allows you to move it from one focal length to the next. So that means you're physically moving a lens element forward or backward, thus affecting the effective view that you're seeing over on your eyepiece. There is actually a technical term for that. It's escaping me right now, but there is. Yeah, anyway, so let's put here as an example 1442, which is a range that is on M4.3 or micro four thirds and has a 2x crop factor. Because, but this is more body related, this crop factor thing. So going back, we have, so aperture, as I explained in the previous video, is the how much the lens can open itself up so that light will come in. This is directly related to the lens being fast, and it also affects the blurriness or bokeh, whatever your preference is. There's no right or wrong way to say that. It's the blur quality of out of focus elements. So, as we discussed last time, the aperture, it's these are numbers like 0.9, 1, 1.2, 1.4, 1.7, and so on, 0.5, and then that just goes up. Now, with each of these, there's a difference in focal plane, there is a focal plane difference. That means if you have a subject, let's grab one here. This is a good example of display of focal focal plane. So it says here that this was taken with a Zuiko Digital at f1.2 and ISO 200. You can see that there's extreme subject separation from the princess lady and the grass behind her. So let's go in a little closer and see if we can identify where the point of critical focus is. So this was taken with a 45. It's like a portrait lens speciality. And it would seem like the critical focus is around either the flower or the eye, because that's one of the photography rules. If you're doing portraits, critical focus should always be on the eye closer to the shooter. So as you can see, the focal plane is quite narrow here. The dress is already blurred. The hair from here on out is already blurred. So there's just a little bit of from the eye, the focal plane moves both ways. So remember that. So for example, this is the eye. Let's go bigger. So yeah. So for example, critical focus is here. As your aperture increases in value, the focal plane also does that. It opens up. It goes both ways from the critical focus point. So like 0.9 would be that thin, 1, 1.2, 1.4, and then so on and so forth until almost the entire subject is in focus. That would be maybe around 2.8, but that also depends on the distance of the lens to the subject, because those are factors in determining how much bokeh happens. Bokeh. How much that happens in relation to the shooter. I realize now that this is a very broad topic, and 12 minutes is just not gonna cut it. It's just well, I think that's the easiest way to visualize what the focal plane or plane of focus is and how it moves about depending on your choice of aperture. And so let's look at a few more examples over here. Here, these are almost kit lenses, 1442 and 1445, and then the sorry, yeah, okay, these are almost kit lenses, 1442 and 1445, and the f-stop or the aperture that is allowed by this lens is just 3.5 to 5.6, and same in the other one. There's not going to be a lot of creaminess in the in the out of focus elements that this number can produce. I think so. This is shot at 5.6 already, so there should be a little bit of distance from the kid to the plants, because as you can see, critical focus is here around the eye area, and there's still quite a bit of blurring that's already happening here. This was, yeah, so it's in daylight, it's not all that bad. You can really use these things. But with faster lenses, like say this one, 2.8, can benefit from the low aperture number when you're shooting in low light situations, like maybe this flower here. And as you can see, this was shot at f2.8. That means the lens was wide open, and you can see that there is such a thin focal plane here, just like a few millimeters from this bubble right here. So all of those in that particular focus plane should be in focus. That's why we know that this is around the same distance from the lens as this one, because that's how the lens sees the plane of focus. From the edge of the lens, the plane goes like that. So you stick a plane, like a piece of paper, onto the lens, and then put it at the point of critical focus, and then you pull from that position towards you and away from you as you move about the aperture. So what else do you need to know about here? Well, these are focal lengths and angle of view. And let's go nearer. This shows you, actually, how much of the area will be in focus depending on the focal length that is afforded to you by your lens. So it goes from fisheye to ultra wide lenses. These are this one, 7, 9. As you can see, 7 is 114 degrees field of view. And then it goes narrower as the number goes up. So 14 millimeters is 75 degrees. And then 25 is like 47 degrees. That's already narrow enough. 42. So here we are already in the telephoto category. C100 is like just 12 degrees from the lens. And then it just goes narrower and narrower, where you can see here 300 millimeters or 600 mm in full frame captures only 4.1 degrees from the center of the lens. So the value, if this were the center of the lens, is just that amount. That's what it sees, 4.1 degrees. And then it goes wider and wider and wider until you get to like fisheye or fisheye, ultra wide, then our standard, and the photo category. Yep. So there it is. Oh, this is depth of field is like basically the focus plane that I was talking about earlier. So how they defined it is that it is the range of objects in which objects have acceptable sharpness. See, that's the plane of focus moving forward and back for you. And then shallow depth of field, that's basically the really thin focal planes. And then a large depth of field is the alternative. So I think that's enough lens knowledge for now. It might have been a lot, but you know, sometimes we just need to get it over with and not just create another one without like finishing something about the lens. But yep, depth of field that changes with aperture. Okay. I hope you guys learned something and it's not just didn't confuse you more because these are just terms. But the concept when you learn it, that's the more important thing. So I hope you found something new and learned something new tonight. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Take care. Good night.